Trivia question. What do Heinz chili sauce, Lipton's onion soup mix, and a can of Coke all have in common? If you said that they're all highly processed junk full of excessive salt and sugar and preservatives, you're right. But they're also the 3 ingredients you need to make an amazing brisket. Welcome back to Deliciously Awkward. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you may have noticed that I primarily cook poultry, either turkey or chicken, and that's mainly for health reasons, but I do enjoy other kinds of meat, and yeah, honestly, like I eat all kinds of meat, I cook all kinds of meat, I know how to handle all kinds of meat, and in a minute, I'm going to show you my meat. So in the intro, I showed you ingredients that you need to make the perfect brisket, and being of Eastern European Jewish origin, brisket is a big part of my life, and there's not a holiday that goes by where we don't have brisket. And it's usually the same recipe that's been in the family for decades. So before we get into that, let me just show you the brisket here. And I know I'm holding it like a proud fisherman holding his prize catch, and in a way this is because, let me tell you a little story. You see all this fat, it looks like a lot, but that's what you want. You want your brisket to have fat. And that's because brisket is cooked low and slow, either smoked or braised. Today we're gonna do braised. But the fat helps it stay moist and soft. And without the fat, it kind of shrivels up, it gets dry, it gets hard. Anyway, so I've noticed over the years, I've talked to other people who notice the same thing, that it seems these days supermarkets, when they sell their briskets, they cut the fat off, which it's like, why? I don't know if people who don't understand brisket are complaining, oh, there's so much fat on here. So anyway, so I heard a rumor that there was a higher end grocery store about 30 minutes from where I live that sold brisket with the fat on. So made a little trip, found this beauty, and have my fatty brisket finally. So I don't know why I'm still holding it like this, but it's getting pretty heavy. So I want to put it down and start cooking. So my family's brisket recipe, let's go make it awkward. So we have all our ingredients ready to go. First is Heinz chili sauce, Lipton's onion soup mix, and I'm using Coke here, and I recommend using Coke. I actually prefer drinking Pepsi, but I don't think it would work in this. Pepsi has more of a lemony flavor, which might, I don't know, I just don't see it working. So there's one occasion where Pepsi is not okay. So give it a mix, and while I'm mixing, I'll tell you the history of this recipe. So I didn't make it up. My mom's been doing it for decades. She didn't make it up. In the 80s, there was a butcher who became famous, I guess, and he would go on the talk show circuit, and I forget his real name. I'll put it in the video description, but he went by the name Mr. Brisket. So he'd go on talk shows and show how to make brisket, and this was his recipe, just these 3 simple ingredients. Okay, just gonna open this thing. I need scissors. I made a mess. Okay, so now we're just gonna pour our mixture over the brisket. I'm just gonna cover it with foil and then put it in the oven for, it's preheated at 300. I should have mentioned that before, but just keep it in at 300 for about 3 hours. So I've taken the brisket out of the oven. Now let's take a look. I can tell already, like the fibers of the meat have like started to separate, which means it should be soft. Yeah, so that cooked perfectly. Because it was a little bigger, I did have it in for 3.5 hours. I might have said 3 hours before, but yeah, it was pretty good. So our brisket has rested overnight in the refrigerator. Let's take a look. Yeah, so it's, I don't know if you can see, there's these orange pieces of fat that solidified. You don't want to eat that, you want to get rid of that. Here you can see it better, it's gross. So I'm ready to carve. Now, before you start, you want to make a note of how the grain goes. So I can see that it goes this way, which means I want to cut this way. If you cut along with the grain, you'll get long strands of meat, and it will be really tough and chewy. No matter how soft it was when you cooked it, if you cut it that way, it's going to be like chewing gum. So you want to get it across those meat, the muscle fibers, and that'll just make sure it's, you know, as soft as can be, that you could cut it with a fork. So I turn it that way so you can see the grain better, but I want to cut it from this side for some reason. So then, you know, just press down. That's good. You know, it just, so you see how easy that is to slice through. You get perfect thin, let me try that again. Perfect thin slice. Right, so I'm gonna cut up the rest of this. So here is our perfectly sliced brisket. Pretty proud of how uniform those slices are. Doesn't always work out that way. But yeah, so then what you want to do, put the meat back in the pan, let it swim around in the sauce for whenever you're ready. If you're serving a lot of people, put the whole thing in at a 300-degree oven for maybe 30-45 minutes. I'm kind of guessing there, so just stick your finger in and see if it's hot enough. That's what I do. If you're serving only yourself or a couple people, just put some of the slices with the sauce in the microwave, and it's gonna be perfect. And I just want to dive into this and eat that sauce with a spoon, which I might do once I turn the camera off. So anyway, I think that's it for today. So remember to embrace the awkward, and I will see you next time.